I'm Patrick Bailey with IQlist.com. Today is June 27th, 2019, and in this video I'll be going over the end of life of the Prusa Control Slicer program and how it's being usurped by the Prusa Slicer 2.0. Okay, so what does this all mean? So for people who've watched my YouTube channel, I typically am using the Prusa controller, and I'll just bring it up here, Prusa Control to do to prep my print. So here I'll just drop something in here. So I like the Prusa Control. I keep trying to use this because I'm trying to help onboard people into 3D printing to make things easy, to make things simple. And I like Prusa Control for its simplicity. The only thing I have against it, which is not much, I love it when you make the simple things easy to do and you make the difficult things possible. There are some things in here that just aren't possible the way it's set up. It's for ease of use, and there's really no way to really get down and dig and do some deep stuff without getting really kind of crazy. But I still like this. So every time I do anything on my YouTube channel right now, I use Prusa Control. But they have officially end-of-lifed Prusa Control. And if you want to find, it's being replaced by Prusa Slicer. Now, there has been a Prusa branded version of Slicer for a while that people have told me, hey, go use this, go try it. And I've avoided because it's been more complex. I want to go for the simple stuff, easy stuff, and use that. But right now, that can no longer be the case. So what they have done is they've rebranded they've rebranded the other slicer to call it Prusa Slicer 2.0. And so they've done a couple of things. One I don't agree with. One I do agree with. They said, hey, we're going to stop spending time updating Prusa Control. And we're going to spend that time updating Prusa Slicer. I'm all for that. At some point, you got to do that. But effectively, what they've done is they've end-of-life Prusa Control. So right now, I'll go kill Prusa Control here. If I start Prusa Control, what it will do is it'll actually go out there and see if there's any updates. And of course, now there will be no more update because it's end-of-lifed. But I have this kind of against them. What they've done, let's start up, says, hey, there's a new version out. Do you want to get it? You say yes. And rather than explaining it very well, they said, hey, go download Prusa Slicer. Prusa Slicer 2.0. Slicer. There we go. Which is a totally different application. And eventually, but it's still not at a state that I think it's simple enough to replace Prusa Control for its simplicity. But it has all the advanced cool stuff. And that's okay for them to say, hey, we're moving on. This will still be over here. And I'm good with that because you only have so much time in the day to spend on these things. I'd rather them spend time improving Prusa Slicer to make the easy things easy and make the complex things possible. But what they have done that I don't agree with, if you go to support and you go to download drivers and firmware, they have removed Prusa Control. Oops, there you go. So if I search Prusa Control, they've removed it in the latest one. So the only way to go get it, aside from doing some more complex stuff, because it is an open source thing, you could actually do more work on it if you wanted to. You have to go to an older version and go download an older version. I still think they need to include it because it's still simpler and there's still some problems with Prusa Slicer. Now, if you want to learn more about Prusa Slicer, a good place to go is this YouTube video that Prusa did. It's called Prusa Slicer 2.0 Release. I would suggest you go watch it, see what it's about. But I'm going to, because of this change and where they are right now, I'm going to do a couple things on my YouTube channel. Go away. One is I am going to, whenever I do anything, I'm going to have to do it twice. So if I'm prepping something, I'm going to use Prusa Control and I'm going to use Prusa Slicer to kind of give that segue into where we're going, kind of help people to move from Prusa Control, which you can still get, but it's dying, into Prusa Slicer. So I'll be doing it twice. And maybe showing some advantages and things you can do in there. So that's one thing that's going to affect my channel. And then with that, and also in the rest of this video, I'm actually going to do some comparison and actually set something up and print something out. So you can kind of see a little taste of what the difference is. Okay, so for this example, I'm going to download my double coat hanger that's on Thingiverse. It happens to be thing 3359083. And I've done a video on this before. I just wanted to use something simple that I actually would prefer to do in Prusa Slicer 2.0 because there's some cool things I can do that will actually make this print stronger. So I'll be downloading, I have this 2/3 double coat hanger. It's 2/3 original size. It's all set up and I'm good to go with that. So let me go open up Prusa Control and open up Prusa Slicer. So first, Prusa Control. pretty simple. I like the simplicity. You know, I just take, drop it. The only thing I have to do here, I like it in general. I mean, they could put a few more simple tools in here, but it's pretty good. I can scale real easily. I can change the scaling and make it not linked to it, so I can scale in one direction. I can do the rotation here, and so like in this one, I kind of forced to rotate it because in here one of the disadvantages in Prusa Control is it will only do one infill, just a simple line infill. And so I need to position this in such a way, and this might not be the exact perfect way, so those lines will help better support the way this structure is. So here I can go fast 2.0, standard infill, no support, hit generate. Pretty simple. Most of us can do that. So pretty easy to do. Life is good. Other things I like that are pretty simple, big buttons. I can go up here and I can put in a change point here if I want real easy. So now it'll ask me to change the stuff. And then I can generate the code, you know, save the G code. I got a good estimate here. Well, I should say a good estimate of the time. It's an okay estimate. But overall, pretty easy, pretty simple to use. Now, Slicer. They're trying to fix it. Now, I've never used the Slicer before Prusa Slicer 2.0. I purposely avoided it because I didn't want to get into... I'm trying to help onboard new people, so I didn't want to go into some crazy esoteric tools and try to tell everyone, well, you need to go change this file and go in here, and this 2 needs to be a 4, and you need a semicolon, da-da-da-da-da, and just confuse the issue. Because really where the 3D printing world is going to is more simplicity while still retaining the ability to do some very advanced stuff, but try to abstract the advanced stuff as much away from the normal person as possible. So I kind of like the best of both worlds, where doing normal stuff is pretty simple, more advanced stuff is possible. So here I'll go take this same thing, drop it down in here, and boom, I see it. Now, if that was the right so there's some things that are good and bad about this. So they've been, apparently some of these big tools were not here before. I'm not aware of that because I never used this tool. But here I can hit rotate, and yes. So in this way, I think this rotation tool is more simple because I can physically, it's a little bit of a better tool right there. One thing they don't have, I do Control Z, I can't yet undo. That's something they're working on, but see, there's an example of where I don't think they should, I'm okay with them abandoning, I'm all for abandoning further development on Prusa Control. I'm not for, at this point, abandoning Prusa Control because this is not done to a good level where it's easy and simple for new people to use. So there's an example. I can't undo yet, but they're supposedly working on it. So now, let's say I want to slice it. Here's this slice now button down here. It's small. It's a little bit weird to find, versus, let me bring them up side by side, versus here, generate. Slice now, if you're a new person, you might not understand what slice now means. Slice now might seem like a strange thing. Oh, let me see. You're not going to connect. There we go. They're not connecting. Anyway, so one thing I have against that. So that could be bigger. It could be higher up. And it could just say generate. It doesn't need to say slice now. That is confusing to a new person. Also, some of these icons and things over here on the right side, they're too small. They're too detailed. It needs to be bigger, simpler, as you can see over here on Prusa Control. Bigger, simpler. There's a big comparison. They're not as user-friendly in that sense. One thing that they did add, and again, I'm new to this, I didn't know what they were before, but according to the video, they have a simple, advanced, and expert. Cool. So here we are, we start off in simple mode. Anything green is simple. I can go to advanced here, and so my tools change. I'm all for that. Expert mode, tools change again. I like that a lot. Also, I can go over here into print settings, and I can see here's simple tools. I can go to infill. I can go over here to advanced, and I get more tools. I am all for that. But I think the simple stuff needs to be, look at all the space I got. I got tons of space. They need to make it a little bit more user-friendly, and I hope they're working on that. But anyway, some of the advantages, and I still need some time on this. So here I can hit slice now, or I can hit this button over here, which is slice as well. So good for the slicer. Now here's a new person. I think this is neat but confusing. This should not be part, in my opinion, of the simple view. We should see something more akin to what we see in Prusa Control. Prusa Control, I generate. And I can go through these layers and I can kind of see where the path is, and it all seems pretty simple. Fantastic. I would like to see a similar thing in the simple version here. But what I see here, I don't really like these buttons over here. You see all these colors. They have nothing to do with the color of what's actually being printed out. What they have to do is there's different styles of print that it's going through. So we see here, we see this orangey color on the outside. That's the exterior perimeter, and that's printed differently than the interior. There's the solid infill. So here you can see this pink. There's the, let's see, red, interior infill. So this is kind of neat that you can see the different styles it's going through as it prints these things. See, there's a little red there, which is top solid infill. You go to the top, you see there's red. You probably go to the bottom and see a pink solid infill. So that is really interesting, cool information. However, that's more advanced. I wouldn't call that an expert, but I think that's advanced. I don't think you need that as a new person, because you look at this and go, oh, I'm not printing color. And it takes a little while to click. And so I think this tool probably needs to be improved in that sense. But they're working on it. We'll see where it goes. Now, one thing I do like, now that I'm going down this realm, I'm going to do this for this video. This will be a first, where I'm actually going to use some of these print slicer settings. I can go to the infill. And so I can actually change the fill pattern. So I guess the typical pattern I've been using is called a grid. Now there's different choices. So I'll go to a honeycomb. Hit that, and we'll keep it at 20%. Go back to platter. And now that I've done that, it hasn't updated. Another non-intuitive thing. I have to go hit slice now to reslice it, which makes sense, but again, a little confusing to a new person. But now look at this infill. Let me zoom in there. It's doing a honeycomb shape, which is probably a lot better idea for making this stronger, the way that this particular thing is. So I've had these in my garage for a while. They're fine. They feel pretty strong. But a different infill might be a good thing. Oh, another thing I always want to do this, because I've had people ask, is the perimeter. Typically, the perimeter is only doing 2 lines around. But I've been told, hey, for this one, you probably want to do more perimeters. So I can up this. Let's up to 5. Never done this before. And so now I go over here. I'm going to have to slice now again. And now you can see there's more perimeters, which in this case, with this design, will probably make it a stronger design overall. So there we go. So I'm going to go export the G code on here. And I will call this 2/3 G code container with 5. Say 5 perimeter with I'll call it perimeter 5 and honeycomb. Save that G code off. And then similarly, I'll do something over here. I'll save this G code off. Oh, don't want to do that because I don't want the, oh, no, I can remove that. Okay. Let me save the G code off on this. And just call this 2/3. I didn't do anything special. I'll call it video test. And so now that I've saved those, let me go print those and kind of see how they work. But before I go print them, let me go over something else here. Okay, after I get these prints done, what I'm going to do is actually upload this to the Prusa community site. I talked about it a little bit before. It's a new beta. They changed it slightly. So now the Prusa community site, if I click on here, here's another place we can share prints. So I'm usually sharing things on Thingiverse, so I'll start sharing things here. Now, one thing that's interesting, I think this might be a really interesting in-game, is not only can I upload my prints and my STL files and anything else, I can actually upload my G code. So there's a lot of possibilities with that. So for a single file, I could have multiple different kinds of G code. So like for this, I could have different infills, different percentages. So I could actually end up uploading 5 different G codes for a single file. Here's one with 5 perimeters and a honeycomb and a different kind of honeycomb. So after I print these out, I think I'll actually go and I'll put this on, I'll continue the video. I'll put this on the Prusa sharing site and community site, and I'll also put the G-code on so you can actually download it and print it. And I think without having to process it, I think this might be a point of brilliance. I can see once they build this community out and they get enough G-code on there, enough G-code that somehow gets approved or people like it or there's some way to vote on it. I'm sure there's some. I haven't had time to explore it yet. But once there's enough G-code in here that just works, then we have the possibility of people, a lot of people who might be watching this video who are homeschoolers, you don't have to prep the file. You can say, oh, Patrick did a cool thing here. I see what he did. I saw the video. There's the G-code, download, push, print. And at some point, you might write an app for that or something so you could be on your phone and go to this website and say, oh, I like that one, push a button. And at some point when they have Wi-Fi on, I'm sure they'll have Wi-Fi on these servers in a few years. I know you can do it with Octoprint, but I'm sure it might just be a default here in the next version or the version after that. But the idea is, I think it's a cool idea. If there's enough G-code on here, someone can just push and print. And they don't have to prep it. And it's brilliant. So I'm going to start contributing to this brilliant idea, which I think is going to pay off in spades in a couple of years. So let me go print these out, see what they are, and then talk about it and upload the G-code.
Okay, so this print was a little fun. So I like the idea of now I can do different infills. So this is just a simple grid infill, which is what I'm used to. Hopefully get a good angle on that. And this is just the hex grid. So that was really interesting to do. And I think this and some other patterns I've looked up are much better for uniform strength, especially when something's oddly shaped like this. So when I did these coat hangers before, I actually positioned them in a certain way to make sure their strength was going to be good with the grid. But I do like the idea of not having to think about it. I can use a different pattern that's going to do a better job. Anyway, with that, let me go over the numbers. So I printed 2 of them out. They're pretty much identical, except for their infills, which, of course, you can't see right now because they're done. Let me go to the numbers. So the first one, there we go. Oh, with the hex pattern. The hex pattern, it took 6 hours and 32 minutes to complete. It took 5.3 cents worth of electricity. It weighs 0.076 kilograms, and at $20 per kilogram, that comes out to $1.52 worth of material. So for a total price of $1.57 to print out the hex version. And this is the 2/3 size coat hanger, double coat hanger. And now for the grid. The grid one, it took 3 hours and 1 minute. It also took 2.5 worth of electricity, and it weighs 0.056 kilograms, which I didn't do the calculation on that. Oh, that on my part. 0.056 times 20. So that's $1.12. So $1.12. So total for this is $1.15 to print that one out. So interesting enough. So I'm liking the hex pattern, but also this is the only other pattern I ever printed. But this pattern, same thing, took more than twice as long to print. Worth it, I think, in this case. But it's interesting to note that don't just blindly choose a different fill pattern because it's going to take longer to do. And also this cost 42 cents more to print. And so that's 36% more. So my numbers here says 36% more cost-wise, and it took twice as long to print. So it'd be interesting to print out all the different kind of fill patterns to see what the cost-price difference is. But I do like having the option. I definitely, in this case, for how this is going to be, standing up and holding backpacks, I do like the idea of using a honeycomb or doing some more research to see which one is probably the best for the infill, where I don't have to be concerned with the angle that I put it on, where I just can blindly say, hey, use this infill, and it's going to do a uniform, strong shape. But anyway, so, good. Another thing I found out, since I'm still new to the Prusa Slicer 2.0, this whole tool, I got a little confused. I put it on my printer, and rather than having my time display start at 0 and count up, which is what I'm used to, it actually had a high number, like 6 hours or 7 hours or something like that. And it was I was like, something's wrong. And also when I put it in, it said, hey, you need to go flash your drive. There's a new update. So I went and updated my printer, restarted it, still got this high number. And then I finally realized it's a countdown number. I looked it up and said, oh, it's a countdown number. And I was like, oh, this is brilliant. But you kind of like, well, this might mess me up because a countdown number is perfect for when you're normally printing, but I need the count up number because I want to give the actual true time it took to print, because I'm sure that countdown number is not quite exactly right.
But what I found out here is in Prusa Slicer, you can go to printer settings. And if I go on simple, you can't see it. And I understand. This is okay. But if you go to, I think it's on expert level. Oh, you got to go to general too. Printer settings, general. And then down here, you see... Okay, why can I not see it now? Ah, there it is. Sorry, took me a second. Support remaining time. So this is already checkboxed. So if I uncheck box that, I'll get what I'm used to, where I'll get the time up. But I do like this idea by default, and I completely agree with this. This should be checkbox. It should be an expert level. The average user who's just starting out should not even use this. And it's really cool that you see a countdown. Because when I'm printing stuff out, I'm an oddball because I'm doing these videos, so I want the actual true time. But otherwise, you want to walk by and see, oh, it's going to take 50 more minutes or 89 more minutes or an hour. And you want to see the countdown. So perfect on their part. And also, it actually worked out for me because when it was actually done, it did display the actual time. So it works out for me too. So good. So I think I might just leave it like that to have the remaining time because I do get the total time. So good on that. So with that, I'm more than happy with these. So next, I'm going to go upload the G code and the STL files to the Prusa community site and see how that works out. Okay, so here I am. Let me back up. Let me go to Prusa Printer. I've never added a print to the Prusa guys yet. Let me go. I need to back up even further. Prusa. Where am I? Back. There we go. Okay, so the Prusa 3D commercial site, I go to the community site, and now they've redone this so we can add prints. I've already created a user there, set some parameters, and I guess I just click add a new print. So let's see how this goes. So add a new print, and there we go. We can just drag and drop things in. So I have everything prepared over here. So first I'll do the 2/3 one here. So I'll just drop it in. It's waiting. And there we go. And where'd you go? There you go. There it is. So let me go add some more stuff to here. Let me add, let's see, 2/3 double coat hanger. The honeycomb. There you go. There's the honeycomb G code. So drop that in. And this one was... I changed the name of this one because this was with grid infill. And we will wait for that to get done. Drop that one in there. As it thinks. There you go. And let me just drop the STL file for the full version, not the 2/3. And then I also have some typical images that I put on here. Let me see if I can actually... Can I drop in... Oh, I can drop in PNG. Good. So I have all these example images that I put on Thingiverse. Oh, can I drop more than one? Let's see if we can drop 6 images. What will you do? You took them. Oh, cool. Nice. Okay, so let me go to Thingiverse. I'll probably copy some of the stuff I had. It's called double coat hanger. So I'll say double coat hanger. See what's my description here. Just do a little cut and paste in. It's like the best fitting. Oh, wait. What do I call this? What I call it over here. It is a... What do you put? What do you put things under, right? It's now 3 art and design, sculpture, fashion, gadgets, household. How about household? Home decor. How about that?
We'll say home decor. Why not? Coat hanger. Coat hanger. Okay, doesn't like that, huh? What do for special words? Coat hook. Try that. Everything about the print. It's printed in, I want to say, %% info. I'll come back to this. So I got all these photos, print files. Really a multi-part print. Please upload it using the user's G-code section. I uploaded 2 G-codes. So if you have uploaded more than 1 G-code, is your object really a multi-part print? No. If the G-codes are just variations of the same 3D model, please upload it to the user's G-code section. Okay. So here I'll delete the grid pattern because that's not the one you probably typically want. And let's see. PLA 0.4. Well, it says 80 grams, and I know it to be 76 grams. Okay. It says 6.3. It's more like 6. Let's say 5. Add URL. Source of 3 model option. Appropriate license. That always comes fun. What do I use over here? Creative Commons, attribution, non-derivative. Okay. So I'm using Creative Commons attribution, non-commercial, no derivative. That's just what I've been using lately. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. I guess I will save it as a draft, so then I can see what's going to look. Oh, they can only contain hanger. But they're not, can't be multiple words. That's, okay, I'll leave it as that. Save as a draft. Okay. Well, I don't quite see what to do. Okay, let me make it published. Publish now. Let's see what happens. Cool. There we go. Double coat hanger. And that's kind of what I like. I can see in this case, I can see that. The images I put up there. Cool. So you can see there, read about it. There's the files, comments, and okay, so it's printed, and now I'm 4041. Let's see what that means. Maybe it's the 4041 thing to be uploaded, maybe. I don't know. But here we are, 401 double coat hanger. So let me go poke at this a second and see if I can figure out some other things. I need to upload multiple G-code files to this. How can I do that? Okay, I think I figured it out. So here I am on mine, 4041. Oh, I did figure it out. I am 4041. So if I go here to prints, and I click on the one, here's just the recent prints coming through. And if I click on this one, I find that he is 4040. So I am 4041. So anyway, cool. So here it is. Here's my information. Here's the files. And there's the 1 G-code. I can add more G-code, but they kind of want to make it clean. So I understand what they've done is user print files. I found this. User print files. And this is where you upload, where anyone can upload their G-code. So someone could make a better version. It could be that people like
6 layers or 4 layers or any kinds of things like that. So you can go in here, and I'll add one here real quick, but I need to go, I'm going to delete the one I'm adding because I haven't tested it. I printed it out, but it's been a while. I want to get all the details in here correctly. So I want to do test print. So I can go in here and say, okay, so I'm going to do user print files, and, well, there was an add here before. Add files, there we go. That button needs to be a little bigger. Add files. And I'll say testing it out, because I'm going to delete this. Details of print. And then I can go over here and get the normal side double coat hanger and just drop it in the G code. It'll upload. Now I did estimate. Now this G code was done in Prusa Control, which probably did not put an estimate flag in there. So I had to put an estimate and say 8 hours. I'll just say it as an example. It has an estimate on the grams, but I could actually fix that to be true if I knew what the truth was. Enter description, publish. And now you can share it. Okay, one at a time. Oh, something went wrong. What went wrong? We try it again. Oh, printer field is required. Oh, there we go, sorry. Choose my printer. Publish it. So that way, different printers could have slightly different settings. So there you go. So I'm going to remove this. But this is kind of a cool idea that this is a weird print where I have 2 different sizes. But arguably what I should go do is I should go back in here and add 2 pieces of G code. Here's the 2/3, here's the full. That would go under the details. And any other further prints I want to do. So like I thought about putting 2 on a single bed for convenience sake. I would probably put them on here. Plus other people can. So if it turns out somebody made a cool thing that really it makes more sense to print 6 at a time, and they didn't give a G code for that, I could go on theirs, make one with 6, upload it, and share it, and then people can upvote and downvote. And, yeah, cool. I like this idea. It's a start. They got a little ways to go. But anyway, let me go delete this guy. Let's see, delete it. Delete. And I'm sure I'll go tweak on this a little bit here in the next couple of days. But if anyone's out there watching this and you have a need for a 2/3 double coat hanger, or you have a little bit of extra filament, go download this and print it, the G code, and tell me how it works. Because, yeah, I could download it and print it myself, but it should be identical. But it'd be interesting to know, is this concept working? The idea that you can just go download G code and go off to the races. So if anyone does that, post a message, I'll respond, because that's an interesting idea. And I want to see, it's probably the way we're going to do things 5 years from now, that we'll just become dependent on people who know how to make good G code. They'll post their ideas on here. A lot of us will do this. We'll post our ideas here, but if I don't need to do anything with the G code, if it's already done, it's done a good way, I just push a button and print. So the future is coming, and this is a good idea. Anyway, enough of this video. Hey, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hey, give it a thumbs down. Also, if you like what we're doing here, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. And lastly, have a piece of info to share? Just post a comment.